Hey everybody, Greg Close here with Tri-by-3 Performance Coaching and the Snapple Elite Triathlon team. I'm standing here with Ken Glah, owner of Endurance Sports Travel, who, as well as having the notorious distinction of being my old boss, is also one of the best Ironman of all time. Ken has done Hawaii a record 27 times in a row, or this will be his 27th consecutive start at Ironman Hawaii, and I'm sure his 27th consecutive finish also. Ken has also been in the top 10 here 10 times. He's a 6-time Ironman winner, and he's got a slew of other incredible results and records to his name that all the recording time in the world would not be able to cover. So Ken is the owner of Endurance Sports Travel, which is a multi-sport travel company. Goes all over the world, taking people to Ironman destinations, half Ironman destinations. He visits pretty much every continent out there. Has races in New Zealand, China, Australia, South Africa, all over Europe, South America, Mexico, and all over the United States. Fantastic company. EnduranceSportsTravel.com is the website. So, Ken, I want to talk a little bit about somebody that's been to Hawaii 27 years in a row. Not only have you been able to race 27 years in a row at what people say is the hardest Ironman out there, but you've been able to qualify for this race 27 times in a row. How do you do it? How do you stay consistent all of these years?
I think consistency in this sport has a lot to do with, motivation and enjoyment of the sport. So, I enjoy racing a lot. I enjoy training even more. And I take care of my body. I do have downtime. I'm not, a lot of people say that Ironman athletes must be addicted to the sport. I think if you're too addicted to it, it's like anything else. If too much of one thing's not good for you. So I take a good break every winter. When I was training full time, now unfortunately I take a good break a lot of the time, a lot of the year. But I used to take anywhere from 6 weeks to 10 weeks where I would train very little, sometimes not at all. Maybe some lifting and maybe working on my swim technique, things like that, but no serious training.
Cool, good suggestion. So how about, what do you have to say for all the people? We have a lot of viewers out there that are new to triathlon, new to half Ironman, new to Ironman. What's a good tip for people that are just trying to get into the sport and potentially want to have, a year, 5 years, 10 years of consistent, continuous training and enjoyment?
Well, I think, building up gradually. If you're new to the sport, especially if you come from either no background in the sport, no background in running at all, or you come from a swimming background, cycling background where you don't have the impact. You might have the fitness, but you need to be careful how much running you do, simply because your body needs to build up to be able to handle the impact. The other thing is a lot of body maintenance, whether it's stretching and self-massage, actually going and getting massage work, doing things like contrast baths and so forth, or ice baths after really hard workouts. Things like that definitely help you with recovery. And if you recover better, then you're able to train more without injury and get the consistency in that's going to show results.
Love it. Love it. I should also mention that Ken runs a series of camps that he calls the Living the Dream camps. And basically what it is you get to live the dream. You come out to Westchester, Pennsylvania, you hang out with this guy, you get to experience those massages, those contrast baths, you get to eat like a champ, train like a champ, and get trained by a champ. So Living the Dream camps, take a look on EnduranceSportsTravel.com. Now I want to move into Ken's company, EnduranceSportsTravel.com. And Ken, just give us a brief bio. What does your company do?
Basically everything, soup to nuts when it comes to mostly Ironman races, but we're branching into a lot of half Ironmans and some non-Ironman branded races like the Alpe d'Huez Triathlon and the Rev 3 Triathlon we have down in Costa Rica this coming February. But we, for a lot of the races, we do airfares. For all the races, our specialty is our ground package. We pick you up at the airport. We have massage therapists, bike mechanics, all your transportation, so you don't need to rent a car if you're not familiar with the area, or if it's you're going someplace like New Zealand where it's left-hand drive. You don't have to worry about those things. And we do course tours. We basically everything that you could possibly want. We obviously do the accommodation. We have meals. Sometimes a race like Cozumel, it's an all-inclusive resort, so you get all our services plus the all-inclusive resort. So there's really nothing to think about in some of these races. And that takes the pressure off. It allows people, athletes as well as family, to enjoy the trip as much as they would just a vacation, because they're not stressed out. And I have a lot of people come back and say that it's the best trip they've ever been on, vacation or race for them. So
that's great. That's great. So what's one thing that you would think that a lot of people, whether new to traveling or new to Ironman travel, what's one thing that people tend to forget, tend to overlook when they're planning these trips? A lot of people, like you said, they get the easy stuff, the flights, the accommodations, and things like that.
Well, it's you don't know. Different countries, obviously, it's harder to get the vehicles you need for transporting your bike. So you show up at a race like Ironman Brazil, to get a car that's big enough to carry your bike, or Ironman New Zealand, a car that's big enough to carry your bike, is difficult because those countries just don't routinely have the big vehicles that we do in the U.S. So something as simple as that. Doing the course tours and not knowing the course, not knowing the safe places to ride. You get somebody that shows up and winds up getting themselves in a bad situation after spending 3, 4, 5 months of serious training, and they make a mistake the week of the race. Or things like meals, going out in a country where you don't know the language, sitting down, spending an hour and a half ordering and stuff. Meal comes and it's not what you expected it to be.
Yeah.
And do you start all over, or do you go home and have a sandwich for dinner that day?
Right. No, that's a good point. That's great. Translator services, you guys take care of that in these foreign countries?
We have translators at any of the countries that are non-English speaking countries. We always make sure we have translators. And that's, that helps a lot. Things like lost luggage, something like that, you just hand the paperwork to our staff, and we follow up on finding out where your bike is or where your bag is. We can't guarantee getting it back, but instead of you sitting in your hotel room worrying about it, you go off with your family and have fun and let us worry about it.
Right. Great. And he's also has established, obviously, after almost 3 decades worth of racing, relationships with people all over the world. So if you hopefully never run into that situation where the bike is lost, but I've personally been on trips with Ken where he's been able to walk into a bike shop and set up a bike rental for a race, or try to work with some of the race organizers to make sure that in that unlucky situation you're not left stranded in a foreign country, not speaking the language, and unable to race on race day. So almost 30 years of experience traveling around the world, winning races, doing races all over the place. It pays off.
I think another one of the big things that we offer now is entries in sold-out races, which a lot of people don't know is possible. Even the races in the States, when a race like Lake Placid, when the community slots are sold out, through a partnership with Ironman, we have entries to 4 or 5 of the North American Ironman races, entries to Ironman Brazil, Frankfurt, Regensburg, Switzerland, Austria. So a lot of these races sell out in a day or even minutes.
Yeah.
We can get athletes in sometimes as close to the race as 3-4 months in advance.
Wow.
So it's a big benefit for people that can't plan far ahead because of work or family.
Yeah. And all that info is listed on the website?
Yes, it is.
Yep. Great. So the last question about travel. Obviously, there's advantages in traveling with an organization, like we just talked about. You've got the mechanics, and you've got the transportation, and you've got the guided course tours. Are there any advantages to being able to travel with a group?
It is a big advantage both for the family and the athlete, I think. We'll have people say, oh, well, I can make my own arrangements because it's an English-speaking country for, say, something like New Zealand. But this year in New Zealand, in addition to getting race entries to the race that sold out so quickly, which we've unfortunately sold out of ours, but in that situation, yeah, you could make your own arrangements, but in addition to all our services, you get the experience of sitting down to breakfast with athletes in our group from Chile, from Switzerland, from Mexico, different parts of the U.S., maybe Australia. At some of our races, Ironman China, we had athletes from 23 different countries. So not only do you get to experience the culture of the country you're in, but you get to speak current events and triathlon with people from all over the world.
Yeah,
and your family, the other advantage is on race day, your family's not just looking for one athlete.
Right.
They've met other families, they've met other athletes, so it's a lot more enjoyable race day for them. They're out there cheering for, maybe 6 or 7 people that they've become friends with.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. So one race next year. You could do any race. You got one race you're going to travel to in the States, out of the States. Where are you going to go?
I'd say Ironman Brazil. I still have about 30 or 40 entries left. The race sold out in 3 days, but we still have some entries left. That would be the Ironman I would pick. Non-Ironman race, I'd say the new Rev 3 race. It is a first-time race down in Costa Rica, but I think that'll be pretty amazing.
Is that in San Juan?
No, it's outside. It's north of San Juan.
Wow.
So you fly into an international airport, but most of the flights go through San Juan.
Okay.
And then something that has a lot of history behind it would be the Alpe d'Huez triathlon, which those of you familiar with the Tour de France, it's one of the most famous climbs. There's now a triathlon there. It's been there, I think this will be the 5th year. And short course race as well as a long course. And the long course has 2 climbs and then Alpe d'Huez. And at the top of Alpe d'Huez, you run at the top of Alpe d'Huez 3 7K loops. The shorter race, you do the swim, ride maybe 10, 12K to the base of Alpe d'Huez, and then just do the climb and 1 7K loop. So,
Amazing.
It's
Brazil,
definitely a
Costa
doable
Rica,
race.
Alpe d'Huez. Sounds nice. Sounds amazing. So, last question. I worked for Ken for about 2.5 years. So, what is harder, being my boss or making it to Hawaii 27 times in a row?
I think we may be making it to Hawaii 27
All right.
times in a row.
I didn't think I'd get that response. So, good luck. Congratulations
Greg.
on getting here again, and good luck with the travel business and making it to number 28 next year.
Thank you.